Buenos Dias Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a motherfucking ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a motherfucking smack at it. Bye-ya. Bye-ya. Orderly Earth, Wind, and Fire. Trip out. As you can tell by that thumbnail right there today, yes indeed, I'm going to write graffiti all over the bus. And we're definitely going to get into it. Gay area. We're talking about a Bay Area influence. You know, we're going to get into in a menudo style in a direct fashion the way the Bay has basically led the way for vatos in Northern California. Now, of course, down south you have Los, man. These guys, they got their own stilo. They got their own wave. They got their own thing that they're doing. But as far as Northern California, the Bay Area plays a heavy influence into what's going on pretty much all throughout Northern California and some in Southern California. The Bay Area influence. Growing up as a norteño in the Central Valle, I had a lot of familia from the Bay. You know, I traveled to the Bay, to Antioch, you know, to Vallejo, you know, San Fran, Oakland, Richmond, Hayward, Stand Up, San Leandro, you know, all the different areas, man, and the list could go on and on and on and on and on. So that's good. We don't do Walnut Creek, but you know what I'm saying. The Bay Area, the wiggle is real. They've always been the leaders in fashion, you know, their gangbanging, it was a little bit different. They're just a big melting pot. They're a very diverse area. You know, you go into the Bay Area, you know you're going to get put up to par on what's going on in the cultura, right? In the culture, as well as pop culture. You know, everything that's going on. The music industry is popping out there. You got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And depending on what you like and your stilo and your flavor, man, you're going to get all that in the Bay. But growing up in the Central Valle, in the small town of Merced, as a youngster, I remember having a lot of familia, you know, up in the Bay, and we would travel. We would always go visit our primos, our tios, our tias, so on and so forth. And every time I went up there, and I loved going up there on the weekends, because at the same time, in the meantime, in between time, my primos were a little bit different. I had primos with fucking gold teeth in their mouth, and such. They were wearing the tightest Golden State Warrior hats, and Frisco. This is back in the days, man, when the San Francisco 49ers were on top of the world. Orderly Jerry Rice. Everybody was doing their thing. And I remember it wasn't really envy. I didn't envy them, but I kind of looked up to the Bay Area, the stilo, the fast pace, the way the cities were set up, the movement. They just seemed ahead of their time. And quietly as it's kept, they were, and they continue to be. Now, they've had a heavy influence in pop culture. They've had a heavy influence in the way people wiggle up north. You know, down south in Southern California, like I said, you have LA down there. They've always done their own thing. The stilo is very different. The Cholo version of what they got going on is the wind's blowing. Totally up to par, man. I respect it. I love the stilo. At the same time, the Bay Area puts a little twist on it. And people think it's more urban based. Now, there's misconceptions there. Yes, you do have a big Africano population in the Bay Area. You probably got just as much down south as well. The difference with Northern California and Southern California concerning the Bay Area is these vatos just have their own stilo. They don't fight. They're not cripping. They're not blooding. They're not doing any of that. They're thugging, turf thugging. They're fighting over different territories, different streets. There's a lot of pimping, a lot of drug cases going on. They're doing it differently. They're moving differently. They're not as gang related as one would think. Now, of course, in the Bay Area, you have several different barrios, several different gangs. In Oakland, man, the history is extensive. Refer to Oakland Latinos United. He'll give you the whole history on that shit. Already Jingle Town. And then, of course, you have a lot of the different areas like Richmond, heavily populated with Sureños, Norteños as well. Vallejo, on back, man. We're talking about cities where the wiggle is definitely real. Now, in the early 90s, you had a big movement called Black and Brown. The Black and Brown Brothers and Latinos United, Divided, We Ride. And it was a big thing, and it continues today. But it was established by one Julio Gotos. You know, he established Black and Brown Entertainment, Black and Brown Records. And that was the forming, you know, of a mega, the mega powers were going to explode. The forming of a super team. And it worked. You know, it worked. I remember being in the Central Valle at the time. I was young, and I'm talking about, well, actually, I was incarcerated at the time. But I was seeing what was going on. I was keeping up to par and up to date on what was going on in the Valle. Everybody was wiggling a certain way. They were really feeling this union of Black and Brown, this movement. Okay, and it's always been like that up north, especially in the Bay Area, because it's such a heavily populated area of Latinos and African Americans. You know, the kinship was there. The love was there, the embracement, the canalismo. It was what it was, man. When you grow up side by side, you're a product of your environment. Yes, they got that urban flavor. Yes, everybody was bumping fucking Go-Toes. Yes, everybody was bumping Messy Marv, Stand Up. Yes, everyone continues to bump Filthy Rich and so on and so forth. E40. Well, Sasuke, I was bumping him earlier. Right now I'm on some Marvin Gaye. But you feel what I'm saying? The influence has always been there. And when that CD compilation hit, 17 Reasons, and everyone finally got to see Black and Brown united, it was a wonderful thing. It was a great thing. That was the Bay Area influence, because all of a sudden you started to have vatos in the Valle posted up. You know, where at one point in time we were enemigas with the Africanos. Now it was all like, oh, I see you, vato. I see you. You know, everybody was in a standoff, like a half 60. Are we good? Are we good? So, okay, hey, I'm going to go to Pioneer Chicken. You want to come? It was just all love. Okay, again, that's the Bay Area influence. But it's not necessarily just gang related. Okay, it doesn't have necessarily to do with just gangs. Gangs are a part of life. Gangs are always going to be here, Sasuke. Hey, the gangs in the Bay don't ever die. Just multiply. Colors. More so, what it's about is fashion, the way you talk, the way you speak, you know, the way you move. You know, everybody moves mean with a purpose out there in the Bay Area. Quiet as kept. DJ Quick said it. Oakland is just like Compton. Definitely. And I'm going to tell you a story about a heavy Bay influence. I remember going to Oakland one time. And we actually got stranded. Me and my Theo, we got stranded. So it was cold that night, right? We ended up getting stranded. We're pulled over on the side of the road right there in deep East Oakland. And I know what's up. See, being incarcerated and being in YA, I met a lot of authors from Oakland. And I know that town is about the action. They're about the activities. They're about the business, man. And if you ain't from the town and you ain't with that town business, don't go to the town because you ain't with that business, right? Their business is theirs. But we end up breaking down on the side of the road, so I was scared. And neither one of us had a cell phone, like two babosos right there. So I was scared. We're walking with a fucking empty gas can and a pair of pliers. So we take off walking and we're going to hit the first exit. There's a Chevron. I can see it in the distance. I'm smoking like a train because this might be my last cigarette because we're going into East Oakland. Okay, now anyone that knows, man, this is a dangerous place. And I'm not saying this because the Africano community is deep, man, and that they don't like Mexicans. Quite contrary. It's dangerous for everybody. If you ain't from there, man, they're going to recognize that. They're going to see your stilo because they've always had a different stilo in Oakland. And they're going to press up. So we're mobbing. The mobilization is real. You know what I mean? I'm going sideways, this way, that way. Right? Bam. Get off the fucking exit. And sure enough, my baboso ass Theo says, I'm thirsty, fool. I said, well, let's go to Chevron right there and go get it. He's like, Charlie, man, I can't make it. I'm not going to make it, right? So he goes into someone's front yard without asking him, turns on the manguera, and he's drinking water the old school style. Those of you that know, oh, you know, right? So he's drinking water out of the manguera. There wasn't no fucking Alhambra, or definitely wasn't no fucking Aquafina. So he's getting his issue on. And of course, some big old Africano dude comes out, just sitting on the porch like this. He's like, is that water cold? My Theo's like, that shit's bomb. My fool's like, yeah, don't just keep drinking my water, bro. It's good. You know what I mean? You ain't got to ask or nothing. I'm like, oh, man, the game's about to change right now. So I'm about to throw these pliers at him and run, about the right. And my Theo's like, hey, is it okay? And he was like, nah. Come on, my brown brother. Go ahead, man. Drink up. As soon as my Theo turned off, he said, now, I mean, what do I get for that? You drank out of my hose. What do I get? My Theo was like, would you want a hug or what? I'll never forget that day. This brother was hella cool, man. He actually invited us into his pad, let us use his phone. We called a tow truck. We were all good in the hood. We didn't even have to end up going to Chevron, right? Me and him actually drink a beer. He was just cool people. That was one of the things right there that let me know that the Bay Area, unlike what people say, man, and they're scared to go into the city of Oakland because Oakland is a dangerous place. Hey, and Sasuke, yes, it is, right? At the same time, there's a lot of good gente in this world, man. Black, brown, doesn't matter what color, man. The influence is there, you know? But at the same time, man, there's good people everywhere. You don't judge a book by its cover, man, because the cover might judge you. You feel me? You don't need that in your life. I don't need people like that. So anyways, we ended up wiggling from Oakland. That was just a time in my life where I was judging books by its cover. I had heard stories. I had seen certain things. I had met people and they had told me war stories. So I was kind of shook up, man. My head was definitely on swivelization right there in the Bay because, you know, I know that they move differently from the Valle. In the Valle, we were low key, kind of smooth, suspended up, creased up. So let's get over there. Like I said, gold teeth, cornrows, and wiggle. You know what I mean? A whole lot of wiggle, a whole lot of doing what they do. Now, I remember going up there and seeing my primos and going to kick it with some of their homeboys, and their homeboys thought I was too slow paced. I wasn't really with the issue, that I was too super serio. I was too norteñoed out for them, right? These were also norteños. They'd be like, come on, blood, man. Step your game up, man. And I'd be like, hold on, let's get what y'all. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to get my Cortezes dirty. That's right off the top. Let's get, I don't know how you guys do it up here with your Pumas, but at the end of the day, right here, these are called Cortezes, Sasuke, and they're to be respected and adhered to, right? Orale, in that fashion. Of course, they thought I was playing the super serio role, and I was to a certain degree, but at the same time, man, I understood that in the Bay, they just moved differently. Now, the influence was there with me when I met a couple vatos incarcerated from the Bay Area, and they started to run me down on why they say the words that they say, certain, words that I've always thought that were derogatory. Okay, like the N-word. They also say blood and cuz a lot. Not necessarily derogatory, but words that I never necessarily used. They weren't in my vocabulary, you know. Oh, 55, cuz. Now they are, right? But anyways, so I started to chop it up. You know, I wanted to get educated onto why they did this and why a lot of youngsters are doing this nowadays, you know. It's because it's become very prevalent. People think that they could just get away with saying certain words. And they said, you know, it's just that Bay Area influence. It's that style. It's that flavor. It goes. It's very hip hop orientated and very urban based, you know. And I said, well, so basically you're saying the Africano influence. They were like, nah, it has nothing to do with that. It's the Bay twist, the Bay influence, right? Yes, there is a lot of Africano brothers, man, but at the same time, like they run in hand with the Mexicanos, Chicanos, Puerto Ricanos, and everyone that's out there in the yay kicking it. It's not necessarily a black thing, man, but it's a black and brown thing, right? And white boys are there to the woods. They're like, what's up, blood? I'm like, what? It's like, aren't you from the woodpile? On 55th, cuz, right? They're doing their thing as well, okay? So at the end of the day, when people ask me, you know, why does the Bay Area have such a big influence in Northern California? You know, because it's the yay. I can't put my finger on it. I can't call it like an alcoholic. I just know at the end of the day, they've always moved differently and people respect that. You know, if you wanted the tight gear, the tight hat, the tight lokes, the tight whatever, so it's good. Let's go to Frisco, right? They got the good shit up there in Hunters Point. We're going to go hit the Tenderloin, you know what I mean? Serve a little something, get that stack, and bring it on back. There was things to do in the Bay, you know, where in the Valle, it was more slow paced, wasn't too much to do. So I was scared, man, I'm tired of going to Beto's Taco Shop, hanging out and hitting people in the head with 40s. You know, fuck that. I'm going fucking, you know, if it isn't the Palladium in Modesto, I don't know where we're going to go. Charlie, definitely wasn't going to Fresno because the fucking Federals would take a bite out of your ass. Wasn't going to LA, you know what I mean? Because you were going to get Sureño fight, right? And you weren't going to want that. You didn't want that smoke either. So basically the Bay Area was our only outlet. Sacramento to the Bay, you know what it was. So there was a heavy influence. An impact on my life. My mother is from Oakland, California. So like I said, I've had family in the Yay my whole life. Newark, Sonho, the Antioch area, everywhere. So the wiggle's been real. But I'm seeing nowadays these youngsters, you know, they're being influenced heavily by hip hop music and a lot of Bay Area stilo and flavor that was before going on before Lil Wayne was going, before he was doing all that shit, they were doing that in the Bay. Okay, now I'm from the old school, you know what I mean? We don't have to kiss, we don't have to fuck. I pull out my dick, you can, you feel me? I'm from that Too Short era, I'm from that E40 era. You know, I like Filthy Rich, don't get me wrong, I want the bumps. But I'm from the old school, and yes, music is always going to have a heavy influence because music is a universal language. It's always going to be popularized, and it's always going to have a heavy influence on your stilo and your life if you're a music lover. If not, Sasuke, I don't know what to tell you, man. Drink Beast and do yoga or something. Can't call it. But Vatos like Too Short made it cool to be a gangster, yet be a player, right? People like E40 made it cool, man, to, you know me, sip that Carlos Rossi, but at the same time, man, move and groove and ride on Vogues, you know? People like Mac Dre made it cool, man, to go ahead and do your time like a solid individual, but at the same time, man, show these motherfuckers how to sideshow. There was different things in that very heavy influence, especially in Northern California. I can speak on Southern California. They got their own thing going on. And at the same time, I ain't mad at them because I like to wiggle down there. I got primos and Wilmas, Harbor area stand up, and I be all down there. So again, when I go down there, I'm super serio. So I just get straight up, creased up. Like my crease go right here. Watch out. All the way from my face down to the middle with boom, 2 creases and baby cuffs, hush puppies, and I'm in that motherfucker like, ugga now, baby, you okay? I'm getting my Bretton Wood on in a real way. But when I'm in the Bay, it's just a little bit different, man. You know, I throw on my motherfucking Frisco jersey. I'm like, man, it is what it is. You know, I don't start acting differently and out of character. I just know how to wiggle where I'm at, and I know the flavor and the style. There's always been that influence there. Now, as far as gang-related gangs, like I said, I broke it down. There's several different gangs, and a lot of things I don't agree with, the way they move, the style. But at the same time, that's neither here nor there. I respect it. I respect it. You know, I'm not going to use certain words. I'm not going to have cornrows in my head, not because I don't get along with Africanos, or not because fucking I think it's ugly, or not because of anything other than Sasuke. First of all, I can't grow hair. Second of all, it just never was me. Sasuke, I just fuck you, get a palm comb and comb it back. Orale, old school style, Chicano, stand up. You know what I'm talking about this from East Roll. Now, another thing, the era that influenced, I think, the most in Northern California was the Hyphy era. Hyphy, but the vatos were out there getting hyphy. I remember going to a 49er in Candlestick Park back in the days. It was 49ers versus the Raiders. Sasuke, we were there. I was Raidered up from the motherfucking Gucci socks all the way to the tank top, right? Orderly Raiders, and it was going down. Quietly as it's kept, people think Sasuke, hey, it doesn't go down at them games. I'm telling you right now, there was vatos coming up short. 49er fans were getting their head dunked in the toilet. It was going down, and vice versa. Let me tell you, there were some Raider fans right there that really left with patches on their eyes. Serio, right? I didn't have no conflict, but at the same time, this was at the Hyphy era. This was 2004, 2005. I just got out of prison. I was just released. So me and the homeboys decided that for no other reason, we should take a little ride out to the Yay area and go see what's cracking in the Yay, right? What was cracking was people's heads all at the game. But at the same time, it was Hyphy out there. I remember for the first time seeing side showings. People were ghost riding the whip. Dreads were shaking. Gold teeth were flying. Sasuke hyenas were still giving mamons. That doesn't change no matter what the era. But it was a big influence. You started to have people start doing sideshows in Sacramento, Stockton, Merced, Modesto. I started to see that Bay influence. And that's why I wanted to call this video the Bay influence, because it started there in the Bay, homegrown. That was their thing. Sasuke didn't no one know about no fucking sideshows or none of that. Sasuke, sideshow. Let the sideshow begin. Charlie, super serio. We're going sideways, this way, that way. They were doing their thing, okay? It was different. Anyways, the Bay influence is there. Much respects to the Bay Area, man. They've always moved differently. They've always moved fast with a purpose. But I respect it. I like it. You know, I like it. I go to the Bay all the time. I stay in Frisco all the time. I'm out there in San Mateo, stand up. What's up, Big Rich? You know what it is. San Ho, man. All the way back from Newark to Fremont to Hayward to, oh my, you know what I mean? Give me my shoes. San Leandro, Napa, the whole area. Man, we're making it happen and keeping it cracking. That's just what it is. The influence is there. Like I said, when you think Bay Area, don't think, oh, the Africano influence. Don't think, oh, the fucking fucked up identity crisis influence. Don't think none of that. What you think, man, is dudes doing it differently, man, but doing it real. You know, don't fuck with them cats from the Yay. They will tear your shit backwards. Anyways, I hope that you move fast with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the day, it doesn't matter who you're influenced by, man. Let that influence be a positive one. Go out there and get it for your familia. Only you can. Let's unite the black and brown brothers, la raza. Let's make it happen, Captain. It is what it is. You know, we're with that business. Everyone's going to do it however they do it, man. Just do it to it. If you like this, please hit that thumbs up. Like and subscribe. I really mean it. See, I mean this shit when I say it, right? Please hit that like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, the one that's going, the Bay today, right? Or you can hit that thumbs down, heavy as the head that wears that Los Angeles Lakers crown. You know what it is, and I'm being super serio when I say, orale, gracias, gente, la raza, bang, bang.